This is Rafik Luzon, and you are tuned in to Nothing But That Sports Talk. Oh yeah, the Eastern Conference Finals is heating up as we finally determine either tonight or this Monday who will the Thunder face in the NBA Finals. Nothing But That Sports Talk. Rafik Luzon, Samori Benjamin, radio host for the Voice of Harlem on hand. Welcome aboard.
What's up, brother? How you doing, man? Great to be here. Great to talk to you about the Knicks, the Yankees, Mets, but of course, Knicks Game 6 tonight. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, that's what it's really all about. To highlight the show, I mean, it started off kind of rocky. I mean, the Pacers, they won the first two games, one of them being a 17-point comeback with 6:33 left. They win game two, and the losses they did have, they bounced back every time. But this time around, it's really feel like the opposite of what the Knicks did to the Celtics. Do you see the New York Knicks turning it around in game 6?
Well, they won the last game, so that's a start. They have to win the next two, so that would be 3 straight games. You know what, man? There's so much history that's involved with the Knicks and with Indiana, just in terms of not even their history matching up against each other, where which there's plenty of history as far as that goes, but just Knicks playoff history, period, overall, and Indiana's playoff history. A lot of things we could look at, and we could look at just these two teams where they're at right now. So, for instance, what I'm talking about is the Knicks. For one, they've never in their history come back from a 3-1 deficit in the playoffs, and Indiana had never blown a 3-1 lead. The Knicks also have never won a playoff series ever in which they lost game 1 of the series at Madison Square Garden. And no team has ever won the conference finals when losing the first 2 games of the conference finals at home. So that's a lot. If you want to look at history, you'll say they won't do it. And then Indiana, I think I said that they've never blown a 3-1 series lead, right? The Knicks and Indiana, of course, we know that this is their 9th time playing in the playoffs since '93. And I can remember clearly 2 times when the Knicks were down 3-2, going to Indiana for a game 6. And both times they won. '94, Knicks were in the conference finals playing against Reggie, and Reggie had the huge 25-point fourth quarter in game 5 to beat the Knicks. Knicks went to Indiana down 3-2, and they beat Indiana in game 6, came back to the Garden, won game 7, went to the finals. The next year, the Knicks were down 3-1 to Indiana. Like this past week, they won game 5 at home. Then they went to Indiana, like they are tonight, down 3-2, like how they were the year before, '94, down 3-2. They won again game 6 in Indiana, went home for game 7, lost game 7 at the Garden semifinals. So, and then of course Carmelo's Knicks fell down 3-1 to Indiana as well, lost game 1 at home, which again, Knicks had never won a playoff series when they lost game 1 at the Garden. They went to Indiana, game 6, down 3-2. That's the Roy Hibbert block game. We all remember that. Knicks lost in 6. So right now, 12 years later, look, 2 years ago, the Knicks were in a similar situation. Semifinals against Miami, fell down 3-1, lost game 1 at home, fell down 3-1, won game 5 at home, game 6 at Miami, they got closed out. So I think that the Knicks, though, this Knicks team, man, I mean, the way they're playing, look, this Knicks team is New Year, it's different. It's going to be tough. But, hey, man, that's why we love sports, to see what happens. But, they just need everybody to play good, everybody. So everybody got to step up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, a lot of people had to step up, and they really stepped up big time with Jalen Brunson put up 31 points in the winning game 5 in what was a wire-to-wire situation. You remember the last home game of the series clinching game 6 of the semifinals, they won that one wire to wire against the Celtics. So that's something that the New York Knicks need to do in order to actually turn things around. And I mean, you mentioned all the historical moments that wasn't in Knicks' favor when they're facing 2-0 deficits or 3-1 deficits, especially when you lose the first two games at home. That plays a factor. But I have a feeling that this year it'll be different. I'm nervous for it, but I have a feeling it's going to be different when you have the opportunity to continue the train. Because the Knicks are 6-2 on the road. We can't ignore that. And they clinched the series in Game 6. I mean, they're on the other end of the stick, but they won the last two Game 6s in this postseason. So we can't dismiss that. We can't.
Not at all. Yeah. The Knicks have answered the bell all postseason. They've shown a lot all postseason. And there's 3 teams left playing in the NBA. Knicks are one of them. And what you said earlier, the last series, the Knicks did what Indiana is doing to them now.
Yeah.
They won the first 2 games in Boston. And Indiana, this series, came into the Garden, beat the Knicks first 2 games on the Knicks home court. But right now, man, it's if they could ever win tonight and bring it back to the Garden, that would just be an amazing scene. And Tyrese Halliburton last game, he went from having a 32-point triple-double in game 4 to, I'm looking up at this box score in the fourth quarter. He made 1 basket. He finished with 6 assists, 2 or 3 rebounds, 8 points. So could you imagine Jalen Brunson having just 1 shot made in the fourth quarter, by the fourth quarter? But I totally expect him to be on 100 tonight. Him and his teammates, they're going to be on 100. And Knicks are going to get their best shot from Indiana. And this has become a really big-time rivalry because not only the Knicks-Pacers history that 9th time now since 93 where they've been in the playoffs, but Brunson and Halliburton, the 2 point guards, the best players on both teams, they play the same position, and they've really been battling each other in serious competition for the last almost 2 years now. Since the summer, 2 years, they were both on the World Basketball Championship team.
That's right.
Yeah, playing. They were competing for the starting point guard position on that team. And since then, it's been last season after that World Basketball Championship. It was, first of all, Halliburton came out great last year, got his team to the NBA Cup final, the first year of the NBA Cup.
Mm-hmm.
That was impressive. But then Halliburton got voted Eastern Conference All-Star starter last season over Brunson. So, Brunson last year had his great season. So people felt a way about that when Brunson was not named starter, but Halliburton got that spot over him. Then we know when Grant Hill, who is the head of the Olympic Committee, when he came down with he's the one that picked the team, and he picked Halliburton to be on the Olympic team last year over Brunson. And then Brunson and Halliburton last year in the playoffs, second round, Halliburton, he won. So now this year, so it's a rivalry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely a rivalry. I mean, talking about those 2 different franchises that may not have had lucky championships, with the Knicks not having won since 1973 and the Pacers, the one finals you did make against Kobe and the Lakers, God rest his soul, you weren't able to get the job done. And the Pacers, well, they have not won a championship ever. So that's how you know the stakes are high for these 2 franchises, especially when you have 2 of the best guards in the NBA. And you almost forget, Jalen Brunson almost played for Indiana at one point when he was like literally evaluated by scouts before he got drafted in the second round. A lot of people forget that. So fast forward right now, he's carrying the Knicks, being the captain, making the Knicks the team to watch again. I mean, why not? The possibilities are endless. Statistically,
Yeah,
I don't have a chance. But if I'm a Knicks fan, which I am, I would have more faith because this is something that you probably you shouldn't take for granted. You probably never experience again, but you never know.
yeah, man. I mean, a lot of people, it's their first time experiencing the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals. This, in my lifetime, this is what? This is the fourth time I've seen them in the conference finals. 93, 94, actually the fifth time. 93, 94, 99, 2000, and now. And I've never seen them win a championship. So many of us have never seen them win a championship. But it is something where, to your point, which is very interesting, we all talk about how long it's been for the Knicks since they won their last championship, 52 years. But at least, at least they've won an NBA championship, right? Indiana never has. But Indiana came into the NBA, I believe, in 1976. They were in the ABA,
Mm-hmm.
and they won a championship in the ABA. Indiana did, and that was 1973, which is when the Knicks won their last NBA championship, 1973. But yeah, and also to your point, last time Indiana was in the Eastern Conference Finals was
Last year,
2000. No, actually, oh yeah, right, yeah, right.
last year,
Last,
because that was the year they got swept by the
last year,
Celtics. But
last year.
before that,
But
it was
yeah, yeah,
2013 and 2014 when he lost to the Miami Heat.
right, right. But yeah, the last time they were in the finals was 2000, and the last time the Knicks were in the finals was 99. So these two teams, I mean, yeah, these two teams basically were in the finals last for the last their last time in the same time period, just 1 year apart. So Indiana fans definitely they want it as bad as Knicks fans, no doubt about it.
Yeah, they definitely want it back. And he says, and if they turn this around and win, this literally be one of the cap offs of the biggest year or some of the biggest years in New York sports history. I mean, think about it. We just coming off watching St. John's win the Big East championship and in their 25-year drought. And then before that, and then months before that, you had the New York Liberty win the WNBA championship, their very first ever. So that's how you know the pressure is on for the Knicks to actually accomplish something. Even if the conference championship is the best you can do, you take it. Because we Knicks fans have been striving for that for a while. And you've covered the Knicks long enough to acknowledge the type of disappointments that they had to overcome to get to this points.
Yeah, man. I've been covering them for a long time, and this is the first time I've been covering them in the Eastern Conference Finals. So that is incredible. But if the Knicks lose tonight or they lose on Monday night, it's going to be disappointing because we want to see them win a championship. You know, it's about winning a championship. Um, so if they don't get there this year, you know, it's not going to be a failure, but it's going to be disappointing. You know, you said that we'll take it. You know, look, we want to see them win a championship. so So, I mean, look, only one team can win. Everybody wants to win, right? Only one team can win. So it's very hard to win. So, but if they don't win, it's going to be disappointing. You know? I mean, because look, the last 2 years, they got to the second round. 2 years ago was really a golden opportunity. They got to the second round. The number one seed that year, Milwaukee, Giannis got hurt, so Miami knocked them off. Miami that year was an 8 seed that made the playing game, that made it into the playing game as an 8 seed. So everybody looked at that like, oh, Knicks got a nice little path right here. Miami knocks them off in 6 games, so that was disappointing. But okay, that was their first time winning a playoff series since 2013, just their second playoff series win since 2001, right? And okay, but then last year they get to the second round again. A lot of injuries happen. So they get beat, lose game 7 at home to Indiana. Indiana shoots a record field goal percentage in Game 7, a record for a Game 7. In NBA history, they set a record for the highest field goal percentage in the Game 7 at the Garden. So this year, Knicks are back. Everybody's healthy. Okay, it's time to do it. So if they lose, it'll be disappointing.
Yeah. And now only continue if they continue to do what they did the last game, which is slow down Tyrese Halliburton. You held them to 8 points. And Stephen A. Smith did a good point because he made a good point on his podcast earlier because it's performance like that literally shows that Tyrese Halliburton hasn't reached superstar talent, but he can still put up good numbers, and that's something Knicks need to be mindful of if they're going to force Game 7 tonight.
You know what? I know Halliburton had a very bad night. They were up 3-1. So like the Knicks in their series against Boston, when they were up 3-1 after winning the first 2 games in Boston, the way Indiana won the first 2 in New York, Knicks got smoked in Game 5. Indiana got smoked by the Knicks in Game 5. But it doesn't matter when you're up 3-1. So Halliburton and them, they didn't have the game meant much more to the Knicks. I mean, Indiana would have had to damn near kill the Knicks to walk out of there alive, in Game 5. So I disagree with Stephen A. Smith, him and Kendrick Perkins, who I like a lot, saying this past week that Tyrese Halliburton was not a superstar. And I get it. However, for one, I'll say there are guys who I hear Stephen A. Smith talk about who he has called superstars for years, who Halliburton has already done more than. That's number one. Number two, I'm not going to disrespect. I feel like I get it how people could say that he's not a superstar yet. I get it. He has to do a little bit more. But if I'm asked that question in that kind of setting, I'm not going to disrespect Halliburton by saying no, he's not a superstar, because the last 2 years he's been a superstar. Period. You know what I'm saying? I mean, first year of the NBA Cup, everybody was wondering what that was going to be like. Every team was trying to win that joint. I don't care. Like the bubble, people trying, the bubble championship doesn't mean nothing, please. Everybody was trying to win that too. And Cats lost. LeBron won. And because LeBron won, people are sour. And this, what we're just talking about, the NBA Cup last year, the first season, every team was in it to win it. And I saw Halliburton in the Final Four last year, the first year of the tournament, play against Dame in Milwaukee, and he knocked them out. He hit a late 3 to beat Milwaukee, and then he did he mimicked the Dame time thing, you know what I'm saying? And Dame got mad. But you know what? This is show business, you know what I'm saying? It's the entertainment business. That's what we love to see, all right? And that's why, even though I don't want to see Halliburton win at all, I'm not mad that he gave the choke sign. You know what I'm saying? You know what? It's the entertainment business. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't like it, don't choke up the game the way you did. It's an entertainment business that was well played. This is business, show business. You know what I'm saying? So Halliburton, did what he did last year, getting to the NBA Cup final. Then he knocked off the Knicks in Game 7, got to the conference finals. He did that. You know what I'm saying? This year, knocks off Dame and Giannis again. Second round, knocks off Cleveland, number 1 seed. And in both of those series, like in Game 1, in the final minute, he took over and gave both of those teams, all 3 of them, L's, okay? I mean, that's a big performance. Then, before Game 4, I'm watching Stephen A. Smith and Kendrick Perkins talk about how they don't think Tyrese Halliburton is a superstar. The Morris twins are saying, nah, he's a superstar. And then that night, I see this dude go out, drop 32, and triple-double, a 30-plus point triple-double with no turnovers in the conference finals. All right? Yo, He's now won a total of 4 playoff series. Four. And just for the record, I'll point this out. There's a Hall of Famer who I gotta be honest, I don't think that he should be in the Hall of Fame. 'Cause I think he's overrated. Carmelo Anthony. He played 19 seasons, won a total of 3 playoff series. Tyrese Halliburton, already at his very young age, the last 2 years, folks, the last 2 years, has won 4 playoff series. The man has already won more playoff series in the last 2 years than Carmelo Anthony won his entire career. Okay, so to me, I'm giving him that superstar status. The man is 1 win away from taking the Indiana team, who could not win a playoff round before he got there, to the NBA Finals.
Mhm. Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, those are things that you just said. People have to think about it.
They
Yeah,
got to think about it. They got to think about it.
they really do.
They
All
do.
right. Now we transition a little bit because we got some nothing but the sports talk, quick talks to think about. Obviously, the New York Yankees, they're leading the AL East division, but they took a big L against the Los Angeles Dodgers Super Bowl rematch. I mean, and they started off 5 runs to 2. They kind of blew it big time and they lost 8-2. But the Yankees have a chance to bounce back from that. Meanwhile, the New York Mets just took the series for the Colorado Rockies. I mean, come on, you're going up against a 9-win Colorado team, so is that hard to do?
Yeah, man.
Won that game 8-2. So,
Yeah.
and the funny thing about it is both teams coming off loss to the Dodgers in the postseason last year. When you're thinking about it, who do you think needs to win the Super Bowl? Excuse me. Who do you think needs to win the World Series more, the Yankees or the Mets?
The Yankees, baby. The Yankees. You know what I'm saying? It's a Yankee town, baby. You know what I'm saying? It's a Yankee town. No, I mean, hey, look, it's going to be once the Knicks are done. I mean, because it's funny because, you know, uh, back the last time the Knicks were this good, where they were playing this deep into the playoffs in the 90s, people, it was kind of like the baseball season really did not begin until the Knicks playoffs were done. So the Knicks, we've been on this ride. It's the last day of May, and the Knicks are still playing. How beautiful is that? So as a city, we really haven't been able to get locked into the baseball just yet, but it's going to be a fun summer with these two teams. The first Subway Series, we kind of missed it because Yankees were playing Boston. The first game, Soto's return to the Bronx, was Knicks Celtics game 6, when the Knicks clinched their first Eastern Conference final in 25 years. And the city went crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So Mets Yankees have kind of flew under the radar so far, but they'll play their next Subway Series July 4th weekend. The basketball will be done from a NBA perspective, and everybody will be able to get locked in that weekend for sure on the Subway Series. But hey, man, if you're asking me, the Yankees, it's more important for them to win the World Series. You know what I'm saying? If you're asking me, because you know what I'm saying, I grew up seeing Yankee Stadium out of my apartment window. So, but
I
yeah.
ain't feeling that way. That's what I said. That last World Series. I mean, they probably would have lost to the Dodgers anyway. But well, I was hoping they at least forced a game 6, but they blew a 5-run lead halfway through the game. And it was over at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, man. And I was at that game. I had the fortune of being at that game. And I also was at the last time the Yankees had been in the World Series before last year, 2009. Last time they won the World Series. And when that happened, I was like, hey, I'm going to I'll be back here next year. You know what I'm saying? Because the Yankees were that good.
Mhm.
Philadelphia was that good. I thought it might be a rematch in the next World Series back in 2009, going into 2010. But it was a long time, 15 years before they got back. And game 5, man, that was the worst loss I've ever seen in person.
Mm-hmm.
Worst loss I've ever seen in person. And the only other loss, maybe that was just worst, period, uh, was, and I was not there. I watched it as a kid 30 years ago now. Yankees, 1995, losing Game 5 of the best of 5 game series, losing Game 5 to Seattle in 5 games. First time I ever saw them in the playoffs. So only that loss was worse than Game 5, Yankees Dodgers. I was ready to go back to the LA for Game 6, Game 7 possibly. The Yanks were about to put pressure on the Dodgers last year, but they collapsed in Game 5. The Dodgers celebrated on their field. That was oh, had to watch that. Had to watch the Dodgers and their fans take over Yankee Stadium and their families.
Listen,
So yeah,
I told my guy months ago on the podcast last year, Otani and his teammates were going to be a problem in the World Series for the Yankees, the same way they were a problem for the New York Mets. And I was right. You're talking about
you know what?
last
You know
year,
what?
had 50 home runs and 50 stolen bases. Nobody in baseball's ever done that. I said himself, he was
Even,
going to
even though I'm sorry to cut you off.
you had Freddie Freeman, you had Mookie Betts.
Yeah.
They had a lot of great bats on the Dodgers lineup. So, yeah, of course it was going to be hard for the Yankees. And the same way it was hard for my New York Mets. We didn't expect to make it last year, but yet it happened anyway.
Yeah, the Yankees could have had them, man. They actually were outscoring the Dodgers in the World Series before that collapse.
Mm-hmm.
They actually were outscoring in the World Series. And then Game 1 they lost.
They had a 4-2 run lead. They had a 4-2 lead at that point.
Yeah, Freddie Freeman had a walk-off grand slam. And that game 1 of Knicks-Pacers reminded me a little bit of how Game 1 of the World Series ended, where it was just such a devastating loss. You kind of felt like they lost the series there at the moment, and they ended up losing the series. But now the Yankees, the Dodgers came into Queens last weekend for a 3-game series. The Mets took 2 out of 3, I believe. And the Yankees now are in Los Angeles playing the Dodgers in the matchup of last year's World Series. And as you said, the Yankees last night had a horrible loss. Horrible loss. I mean, that was one of the first losses of the Yankee season that really got me upset. You know what I'm saying, watching that? Because you're facing the Dodgers first time since they beat you in the World Series. You're in LA. You're in LA, okay? So you really want to stick it to them and their fans. Magic Johnson there. I can't stand that team, yo. Sorry.
I know.
Sorry.
It's hard to watch.
You know what? I want to see the Yankees stick it to Magic Johnson and all the Dodgers fans this year. I want a rematch. You know what I'm saying? But definitely Dodgers last night, they play like champions. Yankees had their best pitcher this year on the mound, Max Fried, who came into the game with an earned run average under 2. He had been lights out all year. Yankees bats gave him a 4-run lead, 5-run lead, had 4 home runs early in that game, and Max Fried gave it up. So that was a bad loss, a very bad loss.
Yeah, definitely bad. And it happened around the same month that the New York Liberty managed to get a championship at the Barclays Center. Fast forward, Benicio is out for the season. Benicio Hamilton, is out for the season. But they did add Natasha Cloud and Isabel Harrison. And now they start the season 6-0 for the first time since 1997, the year they made it to the finals and lost to Houston Comets. So, what you think about the way the New York Liberty started? And is this signs of a repeat for the franchise?
I think the WNBA championship comes through New York City, baby. That's what I think.
It's not even anything to talk about. I mean,
exactly.
I know I literally asked you a question and we're on a radio show and you have radios and podcasts that we had to actually have these conversations, but the way the Liberty were able to put together good transition buckets, and Sabrina Ionescu was still showing her prolific skills as 3-point shooter, continue to elevate. Jonquil Jones knocking down threes, and Kennedy Burks, who was barely getting much when Angelini was playing, she was finally able to show some shine when she was knocking down shots and scoring on the inside. This is the recipe for a championship run for the New York Liberty. If you remember, they used to start off like this, coming off a championship, and they eventually got the job done. Now, Liberty, they tied with the Minnesota Lynx for the 6-0 start. This is going to be very interesting to see how things go going forward.
Yeah, and I like Natasha Cloud. I like her. I like the addition of her. And yeah, it's too bad that we don't see Banaja Laney because Banaja was actually my favorite Liberty, but she's out now. But you mentioned Minnesota. If Liberty and Minnesota meet again, that's going to be a good series. Minnesota, I like Nafisha Collier. I like her. She's a baller. I like her demeanor. Uh, and I'm not gonna lie, I did not know a whole lot about her until last year. And since last year, in that finals, and then seeing her in Unraveled, and and just paying attention to her since then, I like what she brings to the table. And Minnesota feels like they were robbed last year in Game Five. So if those two teams meet again in the finals, that'll be epic, I think.
Yeah, it would be epic. I mean, especially since New York is back on the map, it would be epic.
Yep. It's great to have a basketball champion in New York and Liberty, their fans. They waited a long time to see that championship banner be raised to the rafters. And I saw the other game on Thursday night when they played against
The
the
Golden State Valkyries.
the Valkyries.
That was a tough matchup. I mean, they were without John Cocho, so of course, this gave Golden State the opportunity to, at the very least, show some toughness. I mean, for most of the players, not the first time playing the WNBA atmosphere, but it is the first ever franchise games against the New York Liberty. I mean, the first ever games in franchise history against the New York Liberty. And the first time Liberty wrecked them, but this time the Golden State Valkyries show some toughness and they can compete with the champions. It just goes to show that that the WNBA is literally a competitive league. If you always forget how competitive it is, even with certain teams not starting off that great.
Yeah, and what really I was impressed by was I saw the crowd and the attendance figures. It was what, about 14,000 fans. Do you know how many seats the Barclays Center holds? Do you know by any chance?
It's
Is
about
it
18,000.
okay?
I mean, the crowd literally fills up the seats fast.
Yes, it was about 14,000. And the thing is that was third that was Thursday night, the same night at the Knicks playing game five at the Garden. So for them to have 14,000 people who are in the arena for the Liberty and not somewhere trying to be locked in on the Knicks game, that was impressive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely impressive. The fan base is going to increase in New York basketball now that literally New York basketball is back on the map.
Yeah, man. Now we got to see if the Knicks can match them, and that'll be beautiful, right?
Yeah, it would. And now wrap up this episode, nothing but that sports talk. And if you want our thoughts, and if you want thoughts on the results happening in Game 6 and the possible Game 7 and preview the NBA Finals, you got to tune into the very next episode. As this one's going to get, as those of you that don't know, you're not going to really see any commentary in Game 6. This is literally previewing Game 6 and recapping everything that's been going on. And that's just for the audience that literally watching the show, because this is something that you just going to have to wait to get my results in a future episode, because basketball is only going to get intense. Next week we're going to know who's Oklahoma City will play, and I prefer the Knicks, but Indiana versus OKC is a good matchup too. So
hey,
about that.
Hey, it would be. But they call Knicks versus Pacers, Knicks versus Hicks. Well, if the Knicks are able to win two more games, it would be Knicks versus Hicks Part 2.
Yeah, it would. For Samori Benjamin, for the Voice of Harlem Radio, I'm Rafiq Louizan. We'll see you next time.